Well, we have a couple coming in here tonight. Boy, I'll say,
Unmuted.
they have a special guest coming on. Dan and Angela Clark. They're on with us now. Hello, guys.
Hi, Rick.
Hey there, Rick. How you doing?
Well, cranking away at it. Things are moving in the right direction. It's unbelievable.
Yay.
That's awesome. Great show tonight. Very great show tonight. I want to make one comment about that picture, if I could. That picture of those girls.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. That looked like a Pizzagate picture. I mean, it really did. Rick, what other explanation did you have other than we're like the world? It's one of two things. It's new branding, telling these young kids you can wear makeup, you're going to be in Hollywood, come out here and you're going to be an actor for Jehovah. But I don't know, Rick, that was so corny, that thing with the little makeup things. It almost looked like they were posing. And I'm going to tell you, Rick, I wouldn't put nothing past this organization. I wouldn't put nothing past them. I'd be scared to death to go out there to Bethel with those pedophiles and out in that private area. I mean, Rick, who's behind this organization is a monster. And, man, I'll tell you, that was so disturbing when you showed those pictures of those girls putting makeup. That's the age they want them. I'm sorry. You can call it conspiracy, but I'm just going to say it like that.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I'm sick about it. Well, no doubt it was something else. Well, we're looking forward to your program, so I'll cut you guys loose. I'll be in here if you need me.
Okay.
Sounds good, Rick. Thank you. Hey, just want to thank everybody. We're on YouTube also. We got a YouTube going, so hey, you guys on YouTube, I hope you enjoy the show. We're doing our show on the Sixscreens of the Watchtower. It's on every Saturday night. Rick's on every Saturday night. JW World News, and been on for 16 years. And our show is called Heart to Heart with Dan and Angela. So we're just glad you're with us on YouTube. And enjoy the show. We got a special guest tonight. Angela, could you introduce our guest?
Absolutely. Okay, so our guest tonight is Jeffrey Buelt of Crescent, Iowa. So Jeff joined the Witnesses in 1987 after a neighbor had been sharing his faith with Jeff and even had Jeff working with him. Finally, finding himself in a very vulnerable spot in life, he decided to go to a meeting. He found that it was easy to accept everything, hook, line, and sinker. Jeff became a publisher but managed to avoid baptism for 4 years until the elders finally bared down heavy on him to make a decision. And of course, with Jeff refusing, had words to say to him that changed his life forever, plunging him into a downward spiral of intense terror, fear, and panic attacks for many years. After only 3.5 to 4 years in the faith, Jeff says it actually took him until 2018 to finally realize that he was in a cult. Jeff is single, the father of one daughter, and is now retired from the railroad where he became employed shortly after leaving the Witnesses. Jeff has an amazing story to tell us tonight, and I'm excited for him to share it. He is just an amazing guy, full of compassion and love for others. You can't help but liking this guy because he's so honest and real. I just know you'll love him too. Welcome, Jeff.
Are you there, Jeff? Did you hit *6, Jeff?
Hello, Dan.
Hey there.
All right, Jeff. Woo.
How you doing tonight?
Hey, Angela.
Hi there, Jeff.
I'm good.
Good. Well,
hey, Angela.
Hi, Jeff.
Well, we're really glad you're
How you
on,
doing?
Jeff. I think your story tonight is unique. I've heard a lot of stories, and I'm not going to tell it. I'm going to let you tell it, but it's very unique.
Sure.
And I'll let you hit the turning point of it, but it's really incredible what you've been through, and like I said, I'm going to let you say it. So Jeff, if you would, just kind of take us back, like where are you at in the U.S. and how did you get involved with these people? Were your parents in? Did somebody? How did it all start? Where did it all begin? If I could ask you that.
Sure. It started in the early '80s, and I lived outside of Council Bluffs, Iowa, close to Omaha, Nebraska. My parents, none of my family were witnesses or even studied or went to meetings at all. And I had a neighbor that worked on cars a lot, and he did body work. He was an elder. And I'd take my car there to get it fixed, what have you. And I would listen to him. he didn't have much of a personality. I hate to say that about the guy, but he didn't. So that's why he didn't go out in service. His wife always went out in service, and I kind of found this out later on. He took me on as a non-witness, and I helped him in his body shop. You know, I'd sand and mask cars so he could paint them, but I was always listening to him, and I think really he was counting his hours there with me.
I believe he was.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
He could get a lot of hours, man, if you were working with him.
Sure, and he just talk all day, you know, and I listened to this stuff for years, and I ran into a low position in my life in '87, and I decided to, you know, he always wanted me to come to a meeting. I decided, well, I'll give it a try. I didn't know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses or Watchtower, nothing. Till I met him, I knew nothing about. I'd say starting 1983. You know, I never heard of one. And anyway, I started going to meetings and doing Bible study, and I really I thought it was the truth. And anyway, that's how that started.
How did he lure you? What was he when he was talking to you in the garage? What was he telling you about the world, the conditions, what was he saying that was kind of?
He talked about Armageddon. Sure. He talked about all the horrible conditions of the world, and I agreed with him. I said, yeah, things are kind of bad, you know, and what really got me was Armageddon, you know, and he moved into that doomsday prediction about you know, that you know, that 1914 generation would never pass on. Yeah. You know, and I go, wow, you know, I mean, he'd go on and on about it, and it's coming soon, and you want to get saved, and you know, I mean, it kind of terrified me at the time, and well, it did terrify me, and it just, you know, he says, it's coming soon, you know. My mother is one of them. His mother was in her 80s. My mother's one of those that saw what happened in 1914, and she's going to be a witness to that when you know, paradise comes, you know, after you know, Jehovah takes back the world, you know. And sorry, I'm a little nervous now, but
oh, you're doing great. You can't even tell.
I'm forgetting things, but
no, you're doing great.
You're doing good. You know what I think is interesting is that you were drawn in, and this is a lot of people, through fear. You know, they say that you know, a lot of religions say that we're drawn in because God loved us first, but here you were, the hook that got your ass was Armageddon.
Yeah, fear.
And the generation, we're living in that 70 or 80 year time period, right?
That's weird.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The generation prediction. That's what I wanted to say earlier. I was just too nervous. The generation prediction.
That's right.
From the, you know, from that, you know, I'm just kind of blank now.
That's okay. I'll add lib a little bit. But, you know, that generation one, I'll tell you, is very interesting about that. Because when Rick did a full thing last week on it, really beautifully done how he described it. But the generation one was one, Jeff, that they tried to camouflage. It was right after the 1975. They got together their little mastermind group and their donuts or their liquor, and they went in and they said, we need to come up with a new deadline, a new false deadline. And so they came up with a generation prophecy. And they put the numbers to it and all that crap. But what was interesting, like you said, is when it went by, they tried to sweep it under the rug like it was never there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I heard that later on, and Dan, I thought I was a dead man. When I left in 1990, I didn't think I would make 30 years old.
Whoa.
It was horrible. I walked around, I'd hyperventilate, I'd come to the point of almost passing out. I remember going to doctors, they'd tell me, Jeff, what's wrong? What's wrong? And then I was in fear of bringing reproach on Jehovah's name, like they would say. So I wouldn't tell them. I'd say, I don't know. And they'd have me on medication, had me on Xanax. They had me all, I was just totally unwired, and
Wow.
thinking, I'd hear a big bang. I thought it was Armageddon. It was just horrible. They put terror in me. They told me that I would never be resurrected, because I left the truth. They said I'd never be resurrected, and I will for sure die at Armageddon.
Even though you weren't...
But if I died before Armageddon, I wouldn't be resurrected. It was horrible. To tell a young man that, and I was in my early 20s, that was a terrible thing to say to him.
What books were you studying? Did they study with you? What were they going over? Was it the Paradise, Revelate? What were they going over?
Live Forever and that Revelation book, that horrid book they put out, that late 80s. I'm sure you remember that.
Oh, yeah. Which one do you think got to you more? Probably the Revelation book, huh? That was the generation prophecy book.
Revelation book scared the hell out of me. Yeah, and then I come out to find out that they were a member of the United Nations, an NGO of the United Nations, for almost 10 years when, I believe it was run by Satan, and, they're... And then the Guardian exposes them. I didn't know that till way years later, but I go, oh my God, I can't believe this. It was just unbelievable to see that, Dan.
Yeah.
I thought that Satan run that organization. That's what I believe. That's what they told me. And that's what he told a lot of people.
I got a question for you, Jeff. How did you... how do I say this? Why were you more in fear of dying than being in the paradise? A lot of people, when they're witnesses, they're like, well, if I just go along with this flow and do everything that they're telling me, then I'm going to be in the paradise. But in your case, you were terrified. Was it because you weren't moving forward or doing what they wanted? How was that working?
Well, they told me that They told me my whole family would die, and I had loving parents. I had a good family. They told me they're all going to die at Armageddon. And that was just unacceptable for me. And I tell them I want to die too. Then and finally I had some in-depth conversations with some elders, and they told me that that they wouldn't make it through Armageddon, but Jehovah won't make you forget about them. I said, I don't want to forget about my parents. I love them.
Wow.
And my family. It was just insane. I said, I don't want to forget about them. It was incredible that they told me that. And my father was, no offense, he was a World War II veteran, 100%, 110% Union man. And he didn't like Jehovah's Witness. He didn't like that. He says, I have no use for anybody who won't fight for the country. I mean, I know that ain't totally right to say. He says, it's like working somewhere and not joining the union. I don't want to defend anybody. But, I mean, that's how this guy thought. I mean, and they'd come to the house, he'd go crazy. I mean, I should have listened to the man. Told me to stay away from that Watchtower. Should have listened to him.
How long?
He gave me some good advice, but I didn't listen to him.
How long did you hang out with these guys, with the witnesses?
About 3.5 years.
3.5. Now, go ahead, Angela.
They were really pushing me to get baptized, and I finally finally, I met with an elder at his house, and he told me that he said that you gotta get off the fence. He says you gotta make a decision. And I had been going out in service, all the meetings, Bible studies, and everything, and I finally said, I'm out. I'm done. And I remember walking away from his door, from his house. It was cold out. It was like January in the Midwest, and I'm a dead man. I'm there driving home. I'm a dead man. You know, it was horrible. Horrible thought.
Well, this man was huge, too, who said this,
wasn't he?
wasn't he?
I hear him say peace on the news, and go ahead.
This man was huge, too, wasn't he, that said this to you? I mean, his hands...
Yeah, he was a big man. Vietnam vet. But there was two of them that were real... kind of bullied me a little bit. They were great big men, elders, in the congregation.
My God.
So they just got done harassing you about that if you don't get baptized, then, bad things are going to happen, probably just like your parents, right? That they're saying that they're going to die in Armageddon and they're not going to make it. But if you get baptized, then, you won't see them and they're not going to be in the paradise, but Jehovah will get you to forget about them and it'll all be good. And you're like, right? Something like that?
Well, yeah, Jehovah will make you forget about it. That's what they told me. I says, I don't want to forget about them. They're good people. They said that I actually had one elder tell me, other than the one that I met at his house with, he told me, he said, I'm forgetting what I'm saying. I'm just kind of nervous here.
That's okay. No
biggie. They told me that, Jehovah will make you forget about him. I don't want to forget about him. Well, he was the one that said that. And
wow.
it just...
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's troubling today.
That's insane.
To think back on it and... go ahead.
To tell somebody, to forget about your family. I mean...
Yes.
That is not human.
Yes.
Well, then Jeff had to realize that...
No, it's not human.
No,
I'll tell you what, Dan, Angela, I miss so much in birthdays, holidays, everything at the time and after. I still thought I was serving Jehovah by not celebrating holidays years later, birthdays. I miss so much. I can't go there. My parents are dead. I can't go back and get those times. I mean, those are gone. I think back, my God, look at what I missed out on, especially today. It's heartbreaking. And I got two sisters that won't forgive me. There you go. They're older than me. They won't forgive me for it.
Oh, man.
I mean, the relationship has been severed between those two. That, they haven't forgotten me not showing up, refusing to come to my father's 65th birthday. Gone. I can't go back and get that. And Watchtower stole that from me.
Yeah, they did.
And all the holidays too, Dan. I refuse. I would just disappear on Thanksgiving. Is that horrible? Think about it now. It's a horrible thought. I would. Thought I was serving Jehovah because 6 guys or 8 guys in New York was telling everybody to do that.
Yeah. Something, Jeff? These are precious times. Yeah, right now we need family. We need that connection more than anything. And like you said, we would have Thanksgiving at my grandma's, but she wasn't a witness, and she would have it a day after or a day before, right? And we would feel okay, but I never forgot those times where I looked at my grandma and she scooped out food on my plate and we had pie, and then we went in and watched the football game.
Wow.
And we'd say, we love you, Grandma, because you worked around our crazy-ass religion. You worked around this dumb stuff. But people that
Sure.
destroy, when a religion can destroy families, when religions can destroy families and tell you to cut them off, don't ever talk for them. And what they told you,
Sure.
I've never heard before, where they said Jehovah will help you, forget about them. Oh my God. Oh my
They
God.
did. It's criminal. Oh, that's criminal. What you're telling me about your grandmother doing that, I mean, telling you not to celebrate holidays and birthdays, what have you, it is just plain criminal. For an organization to do that, I mean, the government needs to crack down on organizations like this. And like Putin, he claimed that they're an extremist group. I don't think anybody should be outlawed for believing what they want to believe, but that is very true. Watchtower is an extremist group.
Yep. Somebody just said
Rick
it. In
said
the,
it.
yeah.
It's a cult. Listen to me. It's a cult in everybody's neighborhood.
Yep.
And so many people don't know about it. There's still a lot of kingdom halls left. I know a lot of people have left, but this is what they are. They're a cult in everybody's neighborhood. It's just unreal that people don't know more about this organization.
Yeah, Rick, show us. Go ahead, Angela.
Anyway,
No, I was just going to say that, just a lesson out of all this, if anyone's listening who has not relatives that are in and you're not in, just to know that one way around it is to do everything you can to make it not a Thanksgiving, not a Christmas, not a birthday, by doing it a day after or a day before or something like that, because they can accept that a lot of the time and even take gifts. But it's painful for especially children to not be able to have those gifts at Christmas and birthdays, and it just it's painful. And
well, it was horrible pain for me to leave when I knew all my family was going to get together for Thanksgiving, to get in my car and leave because I was serving some stupid religion. And that's what had happened. It was horrible. Like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. I cannot go back and get those times back. They're gone.
They're gone. They're gone, brother. I know.
There's so many people are dead in my family. And I let a lot of people down.
it's painful.
You know what saddens me, Jeff? You told me you felt like you were on death row.
I did.
My God. And you weren't baptized.
That's the weirdest part.
Oh, my.
No, I mean, they told me that I would die at Armageddon. They told me if I died before that, I would die. I wouldn't be resurrected. When I was in my early 20s, it terrified me.
Hey, I got to send
And
Jeff.
Hey,
Hey,
Jeff.
I avoided them. I was being shunned, and I just avoided them too. And that was a smart thing to do.
Hey, Jeff.
Yep.
But it upset me so bad. It just, I couldn't, it was horrible. I was having panic attacks, and I was going to the doctor, and he'd say, what's wrong? What's wrong, Jeff? What are you thinking when you're panicking like that? I was afraid because I was afraid that I was bringing reproach, as they say, on Jehovah's name. So I wouldn't say nothing,
Wow.
It's just, this is a nasty organization, and I can't emphasize it enough.
Hey, Jeff. There's a lady.
Jeff, I hear you.
There we go.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello?
It's Nancy. I hear you, and your conversation is very meaningful to me. My mother died at 102
Sure.
last year, and she was born in Council
I'm sorry.
Bluffs in 1918.
Oh, wow.
And she
Wow.
was in the original congregation there.
Wow.
And
This was Broadway Park?
my dad lived to be 93, and my mother lived to be 102.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
became more controlling after they moved east. They had wonderful years in the 50s and 60s, but they had doubts years later, even them. And they both have a heavenly hope. And I hear you. My family, most of my Council Bluffs family is with the Black Angel. You know what that means in your town?
Yes, I do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I dream of paradise being like my grandmother's kitchen in Council Bluffs. You're in prairie dice already, And please talk to your sisters. And I know the people of that town, and you'll get back with them in the kitchen, and it'll be okay. And the Lord said He will restore the years the locust has eaten.
That's right.
That's right.
The Lord will give you back what the locust had eaten.
Ma'am. Thank you.
It is like Back to the Future to hear your Peter Fonda prairie tones, sir. You have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Love everyone in your town.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah.
Anybody
Well,
else
there
want
was a lot of people in Council Bluffs. The circuit overseer come in. Well, the elders told me that there was a lot of people. This is a down area because back in the 1980s, a lot of people were going into the witnesses, and it wasn't happening in Council Bluffs. But I was dumb enough to get involved with them. But I remember I would be the only new person in the Kingdom Hall, and it was really kind of hilarious looking back on it now. I thought it was terrible back then, but now there must be a few smart people around here but me. But
those farmers are pretty
looking
smart.
back on it, yeah, well, it is. Yeah, you got Omaha, Nebraska real close to where I'm at, and that's 1 million people. So, yeah, Iowa's not as, it's pretty densely populated, and so is Nebraska on this side of the eastern Nebraska. So, but anyway, it's just looking back, it's just terrible how they took over my life. They just, I'd walk around thinking I was a dead man. I didn't have children because of this organization, because I thought I would drag them into Armageddon and they'd die because I wasn't in their truth. And I didn't put away money for retirement like I should have. I lost a lot there. Guys I worked with, I saw them working extra overtime and everything else, and I thought, well, I'm going to die at Armageddon. What's the use of this? And I can't believe that I'm alive in 2021. I thought I'd be dead by the generation prediction. I thought I'd be dead before 2000.
Wow.
And I am not kidding you.
Can you talk about...
It was like a death sentence. I thought that's why I kind of sympathize with guys who were on death row at the time. I felt like I had a sentence like that, even though I was freer than them. I thought I was dead. I'm going to die.
My God.
So, it was really hard to shake. My family's all going to die. They're going to die in front of me, probably. It was horrible.
My God.
I remember in '89 when I was starting to fade, before fading was big then, when that Berlin Wall fell, I said, this is it. They're going to claim peace and security out throughout the world. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not even going to make it to 1990. And it was just horrible. I remember leaving a Tuesday night Bible study, and that one elder saying, Jeff, he says, time is short. You got to do something now. And I left emotional, hysterical, and everything else. Driving home. All I wanted to do is get home and see my family.
Wow.
Unreal.
You said you couldn't even watch the news sometimes if they said peace and security.
No, I couldn't watch the news. None. No.
Wow.
Because it was too upsetting, right? It just makes you think of what's going to happen any minute.
It blows my mind that Watchtower was running your life and you weren't even in it. That the indoctrination was that powerful from those crazy...
Yeah, that's how powerful it was. It was that powerful. And it was just horrible. I can't... It just felt like you were walking around with somebody had a loaded gun to your head all the time.
Jeez.
And threatening to pull the trigger. That's how I felt. I ain't kidding you.
So, Jeff, you were in there for, 3.5, 4 years. So, at that point, when you left and you said, I'm out, that you wanted to go home and see your family. Did you go see your family? And then my question is that...
Well, yeah, I was seeing my family the whole time. I distanced myself from them, but I'd still go see them, spend a little time with them. But I distanced myself on holidays and, birthdays and stuff.
Even after you left, right?
That's where I distanced. After I left, even after I left, yeah, but during when I was studying and going and everything, I kept away from them.
Yeah.
Man.
To an extent, but it was, I just got the conclusion that I'd die with them. I'll die with them. I don't care, And, they always said, well, you give up now, your parents are never going to come in. Well, my parents would never come into a cult like that. Or I didn't think it was a cult then, an organization like that. They're not going to. I knew my parents. They were wise people, too. And I should have listened to them. And I remember when I started working for that witness that was an elder that had that body shop, I remember my father... People were talking. He found out right in front of me, and I didn't tell my father because I knew my father didn't like him. I'm sorry, but he's a Jehovah's Witness. My father says I did not know that, and he was very stern about that. And my father says, "Is he talking to you?" I says, "No, Dad, he's not." Well, he was. I lied, and I should have listened to the man. He was a very wise man. I should have listened to him. And it would have saved me a lot of heartache, from a lot of depression, and just all this wasted mind thought of this cult and all their failed predictions. I didn't know this until years later, all their failed predictions before 75.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me, Jeff? I say this and I piss people off, but would you disagree with me that was a curse? I mean, think about it. You were out of the organization. You studied with them, and you're walking around like a dead man. You're saying, "I'm dead. I'm through. I'm finished. My parents are finished." You're walking around like a dead man. Yes. I would say that's a damn curse. My whole family's
going to die. Yeah, I was thinking my sisters and their boys and everything else, they're all going to die because I presented all this garbage to them. They didn't accept it. They want nothing to do with it. And they're all going to die. My parents are going to die. I mean, it was a curse.
See, I'm gonna tell you something. I mean, here's the definition of a curse. A curse, nobody's able to put a curse on you unless you believe they have the ability to put a curse on you. There was a guy that read a description of, I think it was voodoo, right, Angela?
Yeah.
It was voodoo. And he said the only reason a man with voodoo can put a curse on you is because you believe he has the ability to put a curse on you. Now, here's the thing. If you believe he has the ability to put a curse on you, your eyes can change colors. You will, if he says you're going to start dying in a week, you will literally start dying in a week. So, I'm really upset at Watchtower because they killed you. They told you were dead, and you were alive, walking dead, letting go of family, worrying every second, antidepressants, losing your retirement and everything because of this curse of fear. Fear.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We know not to give our power away to regular old men, don't we now?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes,
that is the truth. That is the truth.
And I wanted to mention to Dan and Angela, I had some of what he's mentioning years ago, too. I saw my parents as they had doubts. My dad being from Nebraska, my mother being from Council Bluffs. I'm again really relating to the gentleman's emotion, the way he's expressing them, even though they've been in the East Coast for decades. They grew up in the same prairie area and the same ways of thinking. I think there might be something called Delphi Programming, but Dan and Angela probably have more resources to research that than I do.
Sure.
Wow.
And it's called, like Oracle of Delphi, it's called Delphi Programming.
I'll check that. Oracle.
The historic character was called the Oracle of Delphi.
Oracle of Delphi.
But the programming is called Delphi Programming because I remember being in the windowless assembly hall and they're telling me if I left, terrible things would happen to me, and I want to report to all of you, I'm going to retire, I take no medicine, I look half my age, I'm debt-free, and I've got a house to sell at top dollar, so don't let them get to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job. Got back with the locusts of Eden.
He's young enough, we'll give him permission to marry someone younger if he'd like to have offspring in Council Bluffs. We won't judge you if you meet somebody younger, sir.
Oh, thank you, man.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful comments.
I wish you all the happiness in the world and pie.
You know, I think he kind of looks. I think Jeff looks a little bit like Elvis. I do.
Well, he'll do real well then.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
I do. So, Jeff, can you talk about, the shock of seeing the Australian Commission and what all you remember have seen in all of that and what bothered you?
It was real shocking. When I made it past the year 2000, I thought, wow, I said, that generation, there's either people living way longer than they're supposed to, or they're all dead and this is not true. And I'll get to that in just a minute. Years went by, and then 2014 come, I said, this is it. And I'd been away from that cult for 14 years. And 2014 went by. That's a 100-year mark to 1914. And I thought, wow. Well, I got to 2018, and I even thought about going to meetings again. And I got on there, and all of a sudden, all this XJ, I Googled Jehovah's Witnesses, all this XJW stuff come up. I started reading this. I said, oh my God. I never saw this before, and I was really slow to get with the internet and, on the computers and everything. Wow. And I saw this Australian Royal Commission, and it's not funny. It was horrible. And they said there was 1,006 pedophiles that they had in their organization that they covered up. I couldn't believe it. I thought this was such a wholesome organization that these people always told me that they were. I'm looking at this online, and then, I start clipping, watching YouTube videos of this Australian Royal Commission going on, or, that it had gone on. And it was unbelievable. I can't believe this. They were always talking about the Catholics and all these other churches of hiding pedophiles. Well, they're doing it too. Then the Candace Connie case and stuff like that. Here in the United States, I started looking at that, all these cases they have here. I go, this is no different than any other religion. And I started seeing all this stuff that was going on, all the corruption, and then I saw Tony Morris buying 12 bottles of Macallan in a liquor store on video. An ex-witness is videoing him. Well, of course, he didn't know it. He's 70 miles from Warwick. That was just unbelievable. And it was 11:30 Sunday morning. This guy is a governing body member, and he's in there buying all this liquor. And he had liquor in a cart. I'd say probably $1,200 worth of liquor in that cart.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. You know, and that McAllen, I know a guy that works in a liquor store. You know, those weren't gifts. He was buying it by the. You could either buy it in a box or by the bottle. And the box is a beautiful box. If they were gifts, you would give those out. You'd wrap them and give them out. And that was personal use. I heard something about it was maybe for Gilead. Well, I don't believe he would have been buying McAllen for Gilead. They took it out and put it in a Cadillac. Figure that, you know.
My God.
So
it was unbelievable.
Are you able to buy that McAllen stuff in a box and then also not in a box, and then you saw him buying it not in the box, or you know?
You could buy it either way.
How did he buy it?
That's what my friend told me.
How did he buy it?
But it's a beautiful box. If that was a gift, you would give it to them in a box. That was for personal use.
Because it was not in a box. Because it was not in a box, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, buying it in a bottle, you have either way, you know, of buying it. So I couldn't believe that. When I saw that video, I said, it really sums it up.
So you weren't going back after that?
This is a BS organization. They're all about money. And then I saw, the more research you do, you just do more and more. You know, they disfellowship people. They were telling me they disfellowship people for smoking, and then I find out they got stock in Philip Morris. It was incredible. And then on top of that, you know, they talk about the arms industry. They had stock in Lockheed Martin. I couldn't believe it. I saw the documentation on it.
Wow.
And it ain't hard to find online.
Wow.
All I ask people to do, you have any questions about this cult or this organization, do your research. Do some critical thinking and do your research. That's all you got to do. You'll figure it out. And that's what Watchtower hates the most is about the internet.
Jeff,
is people can find their lies and their history and everything else. That's what it's about for them.
Jeff, how was it that you found out that you were in a cult, that it had been a cult? How did that come about?
It took till to realize that I had been in a cult. It took till 2018.
Yes.
So that's terrible. I thought all those years, you know, and believe me, things faded. I wasn't as depressed. I wasn't as beat up as years went by, but still, I really thought I let, you know, the Almighty God down. You know, I mean, Jehovah down.
Yeah.
Till I found out the truth about the truth.
Yes.
And
what was the moment that you realized it was a cult? What was that moment?
it was just shocking when I did the research online. After I started doing research, and I go, I couldn't believe it. And I can't say enough. The evidence will speak for itself. Do your research. That's what I tell everybody to do.
Yeah.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Here's a message that I want to give people is, Watchtower tells people not to go online and look at apostate websites or look at other stuff but the org. Well, here's my answer to that. If you needed an operation and you went to you're going to different hospitals, talking to different doctors, surgeons, what have you, and you went to one hospital and they says, hey, don't get online and look at anybody else. Don't look at any other hospitals or anything. We're right, and we'll do this right, and you just follow us. You listen to us. What would you think? That would be some pretty big red flags, wouldn't it, Dan?
Yeah. You know what I was thinking when you said that is I was thinking about a financial advisor. If you went online and you were looking for someone to invest your money with, and you saw failure, 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 failure. Think about this. Think about if it said 100 years of failed money. Nobody's made money from us in a in 100 years, right? Watchtower is 100 years of false prophesying, right? So would you go with that person? Would you go, oh, that sounds like a good place to go. That's where I'm going to put my money or my life. And that's what Watchtower is. It's like you said, Jeff. Right now, there's so much information out there. I don't want to call anybody any names, but you'd have to be a little bit slow with all the information out there right now, with all the years. It's there for everybody to see.
Oh, you'd have to be blind. You'd have to be wearing blinders. I'm sorry to say, but yeah. You know, hey, do your research. I tell everybody, please do your research. Do some critical thinking. Don't listen to somebody that's telling you not to get on the internet and investigate. You have that right. That's a human right that you have. I mean, nobody has a right to tell you not to research anything, and that's all I ask people to do.
Yeah.
Research this cult.
Yeah.
Or research this, leave cult out of it. Research this organization. Look at all their past failed predictions. That just shocked me. That was just incredible. I saw all these failed predictions through the years. It was just unreal. I only knew about the 75 failed prediction. I didn't know 1925, 1918, 1925, or 1914, 1918, 1925, 1951 was one. I heard that Rutherford said it would come in the 40s also during World War II. Of course, it did not come. And it was just, they lie so much and they cover so much up. It was just, it's just unreal.
Yeah, I think we get compartmentalized, actually, Jeff, because we just can't handle the truth, so we just kind of compartmentalize. And Dan, years ago, I got out of the cult that I was in, that I grew up in. And this guy in this church, in the Pine Community Church, a little bitty church in this small town called Pine, he said, Angela, do you know that the church you grew up in was a cult? And I'm like, no, Pastor Dave, that's crazy. No, it was not a cult. And he goes, well, yeah, it was. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So he said different things to me about reading certain things in the Bible, that you'll get a blessing if you read it, and just different things about reading Revelation. And so I started rereading some of these things that I'd grown up, believing certain things about, like, for example, Revelations. And I'm like, uh-oh. I can't find this thing that we believed. So I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. And I was so upset about it. Anyway, bottom line is I finally gave up after a long time of searching, and I realized, oh my God, I've been lied to. And if they lied to me about that, whatever it was I was worried about, if they lied to me about that, then God only knows what else they've lied to me about. And but I still couldn't accept the fact that I had been in a cult. I could not go there. So years later, literally years later, I'm with Dan. We're dating each other, and he loved to go to Barnes & Noble. So we went to Barnes & Noble, and we're in the religious section. Dan's looking at different books, and I pulled one out, and I was reading it, and all of a sudden it says this list of cults. And in there it said Jehovah's Witnesses were like, I don't know, like probably sixth on the list maybe. And then the Worldwide Church of God that I grew up in was right next to it. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
They're calling, there it is on black and white paper, calling the Jehovah's Witnesses and Worldwide a cult. And of course, I knew Dan had been a Jehovah's Witness, but here we are next to each other in this book. I freaked out. And then I finally believed that I had been raised in a cult. And then I started opening my eyes to lots of other things popped up after that proved that to me. But that was a big one because, it's a really hard thing to accept something like that. It's painful. You don't want to accept that you've been lied to and betrayed, and you just, I don't know. It's really hard to accept. And like for example, I was thinking about this today. I thought, if they tell you one thing to believe, and this is how it is, and then you happen to read in your Bible, for example, the opposite of that, what do you do? I mean, you've already been fully indoctrinated to believe this one way, but then you read and you find it doesn't say that. It says the opposite here and here. What do you do with that? So you know what we do? We compartmentalize. We just say, you know what, I'm putting this part over here because I can't handle it. I don't know what to do with it, so I'm going to blot it out of my everyday consciousness, and I'm going to stuff it down over here and pretend like I didn't hear that. That's what we do. We do this.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it keeps us, in a way, sane for the moment.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah.
I feel grateful to God that He made that ability for us to compartmentalize, because otherwise we would probably have split brain a lot worse than we do.
What I am now, Angela, I'm agnostic. I don't believe in organized religion.
Yeah,
flat out.
Yeah. No,
all I can say is I tell everybody follow the money, and that's what it's about.
That's true, Jeff.
Watchtower now is asking for money.
Yeah, that's right.
And where they never did before, but they got a lot of money before. They're just, because all the pedophilia lawsuits are getting in trouble, and they're losing money, and they want money, so they're asking for it.
Yeah.
As to where they didn't before.
And selling their buildings.
And yeah. There's people that put a lot of money into these kingdom halls. They're selling them off and making them drive 50 miles to another meeting and everything else. Just so they can. It's all about money. It's a corporation.
Right.
I'm kind of against major corporations, and I got a problem with them. And Watchtower is a publishing company.
Right.
That's all they are. Publishing company cult.
That's
and
right.
They duped me. They duped a lot of people. And I really think the government should crack down on them. Of course, that's what they're saying is going to happen. They're when they crack down on Babylon the Great or what have you, however they say that, as I remember. But I believe everybody should believe in, be able to believe whatever they want. But these people need to be fined. They need to seize a lot of their assets.
Absolutely.
And give it back to the taxpayers where it belongs. And that's how I feel, and
yeah.
They've caused a lot of damage, destruction, and everything else to people's families, and they're just, I don't know, they're a terrible organization. That's all I can say.
Jeff, do you still talk to your daughter? I mean, is it your daughter by marriage, or do you talk to her?
I was married. I was married 13 years. My daughter is 19, and I talk to her, but she don't live with me. No.
Yeah. I bet you guys talk and stuff.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I see her. So, it's just, I just can't emphasize how much that this organization disrupted my life. And
Yep.
it's incredible. But I mean, they've done this to a lot of people. I've been online talking to people. Since 2018 when I found out it was a cult, and the stories I've heard is just people that haven't talked to their families for 20 years. Worse stories than I have. It's just god awful that an organization could talk people into, just turning their backs on their families and everything else like that. I mean, it's god awful.
Yeah, it is.
And just a nasty, nasty cult.
It's like you said, Jeff.
Watchtower.
It's like you said. They're a book publishing company camouflaged as a religion, and that's what pisses me off.
Yes.
Is they were booksellers.
Yes.
And they got away with it. They got away with it, saying they were a religion.
Many years. Yes.
Do you know,
the Internet exposed them. The Internet exposed them, Dan.
That's true.
I can only imagine how they hate the Internet. The Internet exposed this cult.
Yep.
For what they are.
That's right. And you can appreciate activism now because you went on there and you saw videos.
I do.
Yeah.
My father always told me, you got power in numbers. And I'm starting to see numbers now. When they're protesting out in front of that cult headquarters in Warwick, I'm seeing numbers, and it needs to happen. They need to have peaceful protest in front of all these kingdom halls and everything, and expose this organization for what they are. Nasty, nasty cult.
That's right. That's why they can't open them up, Jeff, because people are kicking in the doors. People are going in there, bringing their cameras in and saying, hey, do you know there's pedophilia here?
Sure.
Do you know this is here? And the last we saw here, and we're in a relatively safe area, and I mean, it's a really good area, but the kingdom halls have steel doors and a peephole on them, and you've got a buzz to get in. Now, the only time I've seen this was in Los Angeles in high crime areas in Watts and Compton, when I was in the wrong area and didn't know it and went to a kingdom hall, and they said, just don't go out in service because you're white. You know, but when I was here, me and Angela were going to go to it was a Watchtower or something. We was going to go see, so I grabbed my uncle gave me one of those gray Bibles, those silver swords, and I showed him my Bible, which was a getaway, get in.
What state were we in, Dan?
We were here.
Okay.
But it's
Idaho.
It's a get in the kingdom hall without him asking you a lot of questions. So I just held up my silver sword, and they said, welcome, brother. And we had to buzz for 5 minutes, didn't we?
Yeah.
To get in. And we were like, on the thing. And then they finally opened the door, and they looked us over, and then we got in. And what else happened, Angela? Remember that? The guy taking pictures of us?
Okay, so they made us sit in the very back row, first of all, as if you were an apostate or something. And then these guys kept on walking, like all in front of us, constantly in these black suits, real intimidating. They looked like the CIA. And I'm serious. They were big and they were scary. And you knew that they didn't trust us. It was really an eerie feeling.
Yeah, as if we were going to rush the platform or something.
And you felt like you were locked in prison, first of all, because the door was, metal and it was hard to get in. And you felt like you better not do anything wrong or you might be beheaded or something. That's how it felt like to me. And then the other thing is, some guy was on the stand,
Watchtower
and he had
reader.
he was a Watchtower reader, and he had one of these big, huge tablets. And I noticed that he was tilting it, and I realized he's taking pictures of us. And it was just so dang creepy.
It was creepy, man. And there wasn't that many people there. But what's happening, Jeff, is they cannot meet in peace because of people like you, me, and everybody else, all the activism that's going on. Because people are going to push open those doors. People are going to say, look, these people screwed up my life. These people lied to me. These people have pedophilia. These people, they can't get away with it. The internet, like Rick has always said, is the equalizer, and you've said it's the equalizer. They're done for.
Was your wife in there? Did you get married after you were out, all the way out?
I got married when I was out. She had no real interest in religion, and it was all right with me.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for all the bullshit that I put out to people. I'd walk around. I mean, I went out in service with them. I'd meet and go down to the Kingdom Hall. I'd go out in service. And then all the people, I walked around with Watchtowers and Live Forever books and a New World Translation Bible all the time, and I would preach to people, and, sometimes I go too far with it, and push them, and I just, I look back and I'm very ashamed. I feel like a jackass for it, and that I was so full of shit over this religion. I mean, and I don't know. It's just it's disturbing looking back at all what I did, for this cult, and they threw me under the bus in the end,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Susan.
Susan wants a comment there, Jeff.
I just wanted to tell you that don't beat yourself up, because at the time when you were teaching people with the Watchtower literature, you thought you were doing the right thing, didn't you?
Well, yes, ma'am, I did, but looking back, I was dragging them under the bus with me. That bothers me. It really does.
But at the time, you thought they were like in a burning building and you were saving them. Well, that's not
Sure. Yeah.
true. So now, instead of being you're not a victim of the Watchtower anymore. You're victorious because you got out.
Well,
and just
I know. They stole so much from me and so many people. You know, and all the people that my heart goes out to them that have families that don't talk to them anymore. I've met people that their families haven't talked to them for 20 years, and it's god awful. And I can see why Putin said this is an extremist group, because they are. He is exactly right. People, but I'm conflicted with that. People have a right to believe in what they want to believe. But, you know, at the same time, there needs to be something done about extremist groups. And he sure has done something over there. And it's, you know, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. But I'm leaning towards it's right. You know, I mean, you just, when you do things to people like that and disrupt their lives and their families and everything, it's just not right over basically a publishing company. And, you know, a nasty, greedy corporation. That's all Watchtower is. And I'm really hoping people, if there's a lot of people listening to this, do your research. Please do your research.
You know, Jeff, remember Paul in the Bible? I'm sure you probably remember that. Remember that he was just a zealous guy who was thought he was doing God a favor and just really, giving his all really to what he really believed, even though it was completely, totally misguided in every way. And remember then he got struck on the road, that Damascus road, and found out the truth. And then he was persecuting Christians like crazy, getting papers to go and get them arrested, and holding coats while they got killed, and just all kinds of really bad stuff. But he had to hide out for 14 years just because the Christians were so mad at him, and he had to relearn. Apparently from God himself. And so, what a crazy thing that he went through. But, the Bible says that God will give us back what the locusts have eaten. And Paul has changed the whole world with what he wrote and what he went through. And so it's comforting to me that, like that lady said earlier that was in that town where you used to live, she said that, God gives us back what the locusts have eaten. And it's true. He really, really does. And he makes up for our losses. And I found that to be true in my life, and I am so, so glad that that's promised to us. And when we finally figure it out, he does turn it around. He turns it for good. It says God turns all things together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So, he does make it up to us, and he does turn it around for good somehow, some way. So, anyway, I just wanted to say that. So,
well, yeah, I don't want to say anything negative. I have yet to see that. And Angela, it's not being disrespectful to you or what your belief is, but yeah, I have yet to see that. But
you know what I want to say to you, Jeff?
I'm agnostic. I'm totally against organized religion.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to. Watchtower says the government will crack down on these, on all the religions, including them. Well, I hope they do, and then nothing's going to happen. Believe you me, nothing's going to happen. The government needs to go through and seize assets and tax these people.
Yes.
Everybody has a right to believe anything they want, but seize assets and tax them and fine them.
Yeah, definitely.
And they need to go. They need to be sued when they need to be sued.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Could I say something, Jeff?
That eliminated a lot of problems here.
Yes.
With cults and organized religion, bullying people and intimidating people and scaring people. That's pretty much all I got to say on that.
What I want to say, Jeff, I want to say something about you. You're a stand-up guy, and I'm going to tell you why you're a stand-up guy.
Thank you, sir.
You chose to fucking die instead of stay in that fucked up cult. Excuse my language. But you chose to say, you know what?
You're saying the truth.
I'm going to walk dead. I'm going to walk away. I'm not giving up my parents. I'm not giving up my family. I've already given them up for 4 years. But you said, I'll take that over this BS. I will take this over it. And you stepped out. You said, you know what? I'm done. This is no good. I'm done. How many people do that? And this is a message that I think your message is. They got your ass indoctrinated, brainwashed, stole your 401k, sent you into panic attacks and and Walking Dead. But you chose that. You chose that over being in some psychotic, crazy 8-man run organization that just screws up people's lives. And I appreciate that. I think that's an example. And I also think you're an example that Watchtower doesn't have to be the last chapter in your book.
Amen.
You agree, Angela?
I agree, Dan, because, when I was at my lowest spot ever, and I really was getting close to death, getting so skinny and no breasts, I shared with all that with you, sweating so profusely in my bed every night that it smelled like death for a solid year. And I knew how much longer can my body take this, I mean, literally, I'd wash my sheets and no way was that death smell coming out, and it so stunk. And anyway, I don't know how I got through, but in the end, when I finally realized what was going on, which was a story in itself, but when I finally realized it, and then it came to my awareness that, oh my gosh, God is still there for me, but yet I've been told that God was angry with me, and He was just very unhappy with me, to say the least. I've been thrown away, cast out from the group. That was my second cult I was in. And then all of a sudden that I knew absolutely God had a little chat in my heart, big as life. And this is what He said. He said, because I was complaining, saying, oh, Lord, it's never going to be the same again. And, nothing's ever going to be the same again, because everything had always been at my home. And so I lost my children and my husband and everything I owned. And I just thought, nothing's ever going to be the same again. I'll never be able to have my family get-togethers. All these things are gone. Everything's gone. And then I felt like God said to me, in fact, I'm just not going to say, I felt like He did say to me, no. He said, no, it's not going to be the same. It's just going to be different. And then He said, will you accept different? And I knew it was God. And I said, yes, I will. And oh my gosh, I had the best Thanksgiving ever. I had the best Christmas. I met Dan by then, and we had the best Christmas ever. Wow. And it's never been the same. It's just been plain old different. And I miss my kids tremendously. It's been 17 years now. They got children. I don't get to have anything to do with them or meet them or anything. But I know that I am very loved, and I have different people in my life now, and it's just different. But sure. I just chose not to be a victim about it, and instead I get something different. So anyway, I'll take different.
Yeah, good comment. I want to say, if anybody out there, we're 20 minutes, I guess, but if anybody wants to chime in, feel free. The lines are open.
Sure.
We'll keep talking.
We'll talk.
But if anybody wants to chime in, feel free. I apologize for swearing. I got a little frustrated there. But I don't like this organization like Jeff. Yeah, I know. I just don't like this organization and what they're doing, and I'm very passionate about it. Like Rick is, we're passionate. We don't like it. It's destroying lives.
We're all together, man.
So if anybody wants to chime, just say, "Hey, I want to come in." But we got more to say. But maybe Rick wants to say something. He's in the seat there.
Yeah, no,
hey, Rick.
Come in. Hey, I want to say hello to Jeff. My goodness, Jeff, you're an amazing man.
Well, thank you, Rick. I don't know about that, but thank you, sir.
Well, no, what I like, I mean, there's something here I like. I'm listening here. I got two little studios. I'm going from one room to the other. But what I'm listening to here is a genuine man. No, you're not in any way overemphasizing anything. You're just speaking it like it is. I like that. I like that.
I'm trying.
Well, you're just a good old country boy, so to speak, and I like your style.
Thank you.
Me too.
And don't you ever change either, because it's that style that's going to get a lot of people out of the Watchtower, because they listen in. A lot of people listening in right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so, sir. I've listened to you a lot, Rick, and you're phenomenal, man. I respect you, Rick, and Dan and Angela. You're to the highest degree. So you're great people. So,
well, matter of fact, everybody.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Rick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Angie. I want to hear what you have to say. Angie. Go ahead.
I just was going to say that, this man has even offered, if anybody wants to talk to him and get things off their chest, he's willing to listen. I mean, who does that anymore these days?
I sure am.
It's like, seriously, there's nobody that's willing to listen anymore. But he said, I'm willing to help anybody that I can. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, I want them to feel free to do it. I'll be there for them. And he has such compassion and such love, and that's so rare. So yeah, he's a stand-up guy, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Angela.
One word. If I could just sum it up, what I try to do is boil something down to its simplest form. And what I'm hearing here tonight is genuineness. I'm going to go with genuineness.
Yes.
You're very, very genuine, Jeff. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Amen.
I'm just telling the truth. I'm telling the truth about the truth. But
yes, you are.
I'm just telling you my truth about the experience that I went through, and I don't wish it on anybody. Like I said, Dan, earlier, it's like being on death row. It was like being on death row when I left. I ain't kidding you. That's why I'm kind of against the death penalty and stuff like that. They made me feel like I was on death row when I left in 1990. And,
wow.
Organizations that do this to people should not exist.
I agree.
There should be laws against this.
I agree, Jeff. I do.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's horrible what they did to me. I don't want them to do it to any more people. And I know they've done it to thousands and thousands of people. I've talked to them on Facebook and in Messenger, and it's god awful what they've done.
Go ahead. Who's calling in?
Somebody's calling in.
They need to be held accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all I can say. Any more, I'll tell you. Just ask the questions. I'll talk. I'll tell you what I know.
Somebody's there right now.
What my experiences are.
I think somebody's
calling
there
right
in.
now.
Go ahead and talk, whoever it is.
Sure.
We heard somebody was on the line.
We heard somebody.
Yeah, this is Dave from New York.
Hi, Dave.
Hey there, Dave.
Hello, Dave. Angela, hi, and Jeff, I want to thank you very much. My mouth is dry. I'm in a nursing home, but it's okay. And no, it's okay. And I've been here 8 months, and I lay in the thing in bed for 8 months. But the thing is, sorry, sir. That no, I'm not. Don't be sorry. They saved my life with a heart failure thing. But what bothers me is your thing is identical. It's not as bad as when I was thrown out by these evil people, and then they're just very evil, and Rick knows it, and they trick people. And as a young kid, only child, they try to turn me against my mother. 1968. Wow. And then they, I was working up to ministerial servant. I did very quickly that I made few mistakes, and then they thought they wouldn't give me a deferment for Vietnam, so I pulled a quick one on them. I pretended to jump off the roof. Wow. That was nutty, but it worked because if you have a deferment, if you have a it's a federal. You can't get a federal job if you're in a federal prison in those days. Wow. In those days, it was the worst thing in my life. Then from having paranoia about the shrinks, couldn't really 3.5 months. But I met my first girlfriend there, which I was happy. Real nice girlfriend, and not the. And the witnesses, it was so controlled. You look at a woman, you got to sit next to her, and then right away they assume you're going to marry her. This is nutty. The whole thing was crazy, and then really, and then they evilness.
you talk about money. They destroy people's will to be happy with their family. They take everything. They drop you like you're they drop you like you're rotten meat or rotten fish. And I got my father into this.
I know what they do.
You know, my heart got churning when I heard what you were saying because it was very true. But you see, there is a way, like Andrew, God does answer because by going in here, I lost 100 pounds in the nursing home. Okay.
Whoa.
Because when I went in here, I said to God, "You do what you want with me," but those witnesses, they're good for nothing. And then when I happened to call them, and they said something like, you know, they'd like you to come back. But then I found out something. There's no real genuineness. They want to pass the buck to somebody else. And they ask me, "Do you have family?" Why do you want to know if I have family? So you can bother them and try to steal their money? My father donated over $500,000 to these bastards.
Wow.
And forgive me, I'm going with illegitimate children. And then my stepsister came in and got a Jewish lawyer and broke that up, so he only got $180,000 out in San Diego. They're vicious, they're evil. She was a poor blind girl, and her mother keeps having her locked up in a California State Hospital. That's what they do over and over again. And this is you wouldn't believe she was a survivor from the Nazis, and then she ends up joining a Nazi organization like the Witness. That's all I got to say.
Jeez.
Wow.
Jay, thank you, Jay. It was so good to hear your voice, brother. I miss you so much. You know,
I miss you, man.
You're one of those people that has such a big heart, just like Jeff here. And, you know, you could feel the genuineness. You could feel the love of God, the love of Christ in you. And we miss you intensely. Yeah. You can't possibly know it, Jay, because you're a rare person that has that.
I miss you, and I want him to know this brother of mine, Christian brother, or whatever, this healing brother of mine. I love you because you're honest enough to stand out here and take the bullets from these evil people, and it's the best thing you can do to keep your mind alive. Because by doing this, you'll save your own soul away in life. I've always had a fighting spirit, whatever it might be, fight. And now I have a thing where I can't go home now because they claim I'm a danger to myself because I can't walk that well. So some people don't walk at all. So I work it out. And my father lived to 93, I'm 71. I will work with Jesus Christ. I will walk again if he wants me to.
Amen.
But I tell you something, I'm not going to, like you said, I'm not going to give false hope on the street corners to people that a beautiful new world. It's beautiful. I had about 8 studies when I was the witness, and I messed up people's lives. It didn't help them. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just
it's not your fault. Not your fault. I mean, I went out and I know how you feel guilt. I went out and I put this bullshit out to other people so many times, and I feel guilty about it now, but it's what you believed at the time. It just, I'm sorry, sir. It's not your fault. You know, I have a hard time dealing with that. Same issue, you know.
I had a study where a person was in a wheelchair, right? And I'm telling him one day he'll walk again. And he made a little mistake, something, I don't know, he kissed a girl or whatever. He wasn't a witness. He gets, that study gets closed by the elder. I don't know why. They don't tell me anything. And he's not even a witness. They're very devious and they're very evil. Evil as they are. If they could get the gold out of your teeth, they would do it. Okay?
Yes, they would. I'll agree.
And I'm going to stand down, but I love you all, and Angela, and Rick is awesome. Rick is awesome.
We love you with all of our hearts,
Give my love to Susan, please.
Yes, Susan.
We will.
It's awesome, babe.
Oh,
Hi, Jay. This is apostate Linda James. That's the funniest thing I ever heard. They take the gold out of your teeth. That was hilarious, dude. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I know you need to get off the phone, but again, this is apostate Linda James, and I cannot even tell you how good it is to hear your voice tonight.
Amen.
Thank you. You're in California, right? No?
I am, yes. Yes.
I've spoken to you before. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we have.
You know the best,
Yes,
the best thing that happened to me today? I got about 8 people now on the phone, and I heard a person that sounded like me, and God bless him and you. Really, God blesses us.
You're right. You're right.
You're putting truth out there.
Yeah. Just speak the truth, man. You just talked about it, how you've experienced it, and so did this gentleman, too. And you know, it's a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
When we hear, you're welcome, sir, it's very much a breath of fresh air. Even with a bit of the anger in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry about the anger. You have a right to be angry.
It's normal. Yes, it's normal. And like he was saying, Jay, it wasn't your fault. And you were deceived, just like the person that, helped you get in the org was deceived. So if you can allow yourself some grace,
And then they did 4 years in a Canadian prison, and then they denied him entrance to Bethel because of his heart condition. How do you like that one?
Jeez.
Oh, no.
No, really. Then they told me, and then they told me to shun the man because he didn't go to meetings.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then that's a real loving organization. You do 4 years in a Canadian prison, military, and then they shun you here.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
The
Jeff.
point is, stay away from these people. They're worse than the Nazis. Oh, they are. They're the same thing like the Nazis. My stepmother ran away from the Nazis, and she ends up with a Nazi guy. I hate to say that word. It's too good for them. They're worse.
Yes.
They're worse. It is almost.
That's like...
I hate to say it, but it's true.
It is true.
I don't like to say things about people like that, but you don't even know half what they do to people. And I, unfortunately, we never do.
Most people outside, they don't get it. They don't know. They don't know that this is going on in everybody's neighborhood. There's a cult in everybody's neighborhood with the Kingdom Hall. That's a cult, of course. This organization they're all over, and it just people need to be aware of this organization and what they do to people in their lives, and I don't know. I can't emphasize it enough. And
you had your hopes and your dreams torn away from you when you got thrown out. Okay, just like I did. You felt abandoned and kicked in the head, like they were kicking you in the head, and it worked. It messed me up. I must have went for 4 years to shrinks, but I tell you, they knew there was something wrong, but they didn't know what it was. But I tell you, I
finally to tell them. I imagine you were like me, and you were afraid to tell them. I was afraid to tell them because I'd bring reproach on Jehovah's name, as they would say.
They didn't understand. They didn't understand how would I be affected to a religion like that. They couldn't understand it. The psychiatrist, who saw me for 3.5 months, he didn't understand it. What are you talking about? They never heard of a religion that does this to people.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could believe that. I mean, now it's starting to come out. I think in recent years,
the Catholic Church doesn't do that. Do they know?
Done this to people and destroyed their lives, and it's just, back then I could see them not understanding. Yeah, absolutely. It's just
it says you speak truth, like that sister. Just you speaking truth and pushing away the darkness, just like Rick Farron speaks truth with as a program host, and he pushes away darkness. And Angela too, especially. And then Rick is suffering enough, but he don't say a damn word about his suffering. And I love him. I'm serious.
He's a great guy. I love to hear his voice. Hey, look at Rick. You know, he tells people not to send money. You know, I mean, you don't see that about, you know, I don't know, you people online or whatever on a conference call, whatever. He says, "Don't send me money." You know, I mean, that is just that's I say, wow, man. I mean, he's in here with his heart. You know, and
but that's very, very true. Okay, that's very true. You couldn't say more than that. People don't do that. They're opposite.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey guys, let me check real quick with Rick real quick. We got another show. We got another show going to be starting up here. I just want to check with Rick with our time.
Real quick,
because there's a lady scheduled to start here fairly quick. Let me just check with him. He'll tell us here.
Real quick, though, before you go.
Yeah, okay. In fact, what we can do here, Dan, we got a lot of people coming into your program tonight. They're really interested in talking to Jeff. So why don't we keep this open for another 5 or 10 minutes? And we have
as long as you want, Rick.
Yeah, we'll keep it going for a little bit. We got a lot of people calling in, so I want to finish. Whenever we have a program, there's a lot of participation. We keep it going. So, Delon, if you're listening in, hang in there. We'll give you more time. We'll make sure you get an hour program. So don't you worry. So let's keep this program going 5 or 10 minutes more because there's lots of people calling in right now. Okay, back to you guys.
Real quick, I want to say that this guy named Dellen said, right there, that the witnesses are the master shunners, and he goes, "Yes, run, Forrest, run." I thought it was really funny, so I had to share that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, Dan and Angela, it's Constance.
Hi,
How you guys? I just wanted to say hello. Hey, it was a great interview listening to this brother. And, I loved it because he's real. You could tell. He was just speaking from the heart and just speaking the truth, you know?
Yeah.
But I have to share this with everybody. I'm on quite a few of the different Facebook groups, and I would recommend people to pull out a writing pad, piece of paper, and a pen because I'm going to share something with you. Okay. And I'll be real brief, but it's really important, okay?
Okay.
Rodney Allgood is an XJW, Rodney Allgood. His last name's ALLGOOD, and he's an XJW, born and raised. Was married with kids and the whole bit, and he left in his early 30s. Anyway, he is a motivational speaker and just a wonderful person. He tries to help, and a life coach, by the way. He really helps a lot of XJWs coming out, and it might help this brother that was on tonight with regards to deprogramming the JW programming. And not only that, but he helps you to, deal with getting past the programming and all the pain associated with Watchtower. So he has a seminar coming up a week from today, and it's going to be August 28th. And it's going to be in Sacramento, California. It's going to be held at the DoubleTree by Hilton, Sacramento, is what he has here on his website. You can find him on Facebook. It's Rodney Allgood, or you can find him Empowered Jehovah's Witnesses on Facebook. That's his group. And people can come from all over the country. But for people in the immediate area, it'd be the San Francisco Bay Area, Napa, which is the wine country, Lake Tahoe, Reno, or anything like that. And like I said, you can register. It's 1 week from today. I know there's a fee, but I don't know what it is. Or you can just simply go to www.empoweredseminars.com. Okay, so it's Sacramento, California, a week from today at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Sacramento. And I went to one that Rodney had in 2018, and that's where I met, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank right now. The gal that you had that was from Rhode Island the other night. And I can't think of her name right now.
But anyway, that's where I met her, and people came from all over. And I'm telling you, it is life changing. It is like one of the best things you can ever do for yourself. So, and Rodney, you know, I'm not sure what he charges. I think it's something like $80 or something, you know. But I'm telling you, it is worth every single minute of your time because it will definitely help you. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
All righty.
So how can we get a hold of you? If someone wants to talk to you, how do you want them to do that? Jeff?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes. If people want to...
Yeah, Messenger. Yahoo Messenger. Yeah, I'm willing to help anybody. I'll do anything I can do. If people locally, I've even put stuff on billboards, which that's kind of outdated. I'll do anything I can, and what I'll do is I'll guide people to research this organization and look at all their lies out of the past, false predictions, all their BS, all the pedophilia, and just talk to me. I've helped people online before. And
so Jeffrey, it's
they even told me it makes me feel better, you know, after talking to you. So
Jeffrey, it's Jeffrey Buelt, Buelt.
It's Buelt, Buelt.
Right,
and
Jeffrey.
Yeah, just talk to me, just say hello, and I go by Jeff, but it's Jeffrey on there.
Okay.
So.
And then you look kind of like Elvis, so just look for a guy who looks like Elvis.
Well, I wish I looked like Elvis. I'd have everything going for me, probably.
That's right.
But
well, we'll just ask if anybody else wants to chime in. That we're going to wrap it up then. We got a lady waiting in the screens here, so anybody else want to say hi or goodbye or anything?
Hey, Dan Clark, Mark Taft. How you doing? How's it going? I'm on tonight, Dan. Good to hear you again.
Good to hear you too, Mark. Good to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I want to say hello. Hope you're doing well. And and you gave a great show. Great job, buddy. Totally awesome.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Danny.
Thank you so very much.
Jeffrey, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
That's all
and
I want to say. Thank you.
I hope it helps you in any way, or one of your loved ones or friends, or it's I don't wish anybody to go through this, and that's how I feel in my heart. I mean, that's why I'm on here tonight, and I know a lot of people have. It's just we were duped, like the German people said after World War II, we were lied to. And that's exactly how I phrased it. We were lied to.
Yes, we were.
And lied to by Watchtower.
Well, Jeff.
Good job. I agree.
We want to thank you, Jeff, tonight for coming in.
Jeff.
And I want to thank everybody in the suite, everybody on the phone lines, and I just want to remind everybody, just remember, the architect, Satan is an architect. And what is Satan? Yes. Satan is a spirit of lies. And that lies, it's a spirit of darkness. It transforms himself into light. So if you don't think of it as a person, but think of it as an energy that the Watchtower uses, 1975 generation prophecy overlapping, the light went out. But what did they say? The light came on. We have more light. So I just want everybody to remember that this is a master craftsman spirit within the Watchtower, lacing paradise with fear. And we saw how devastating it could be tonight with Jeff, that went in with this paradise idea, was sold on and then programmed with Armageddon and fear and death. He said he was walking dead. He lost his 401k. He had panic attacks. He's been in and out of therapy. He didn't raise a family. I mean, it was devastating, but this ain't the end of him.
Sure.
Because like we learned tonight, like everyone said, Susan, you do get back what the locusts have eaten. And I've gotten it back. Angela's gotten it back.
Yes.
We're living testimonies that we can get back what the locusts have eaten, meaning the locust goes in, they eat the fields, they eat them down to nothing. But the Bible promises we get back what the locusts have eaten. So don't forget that. Don't let Watchtower be the last chapter in your book.
Amen to that.
Victory, victory. Like Constance said, a lot of those people in those groups, those people in those groups with All Grid, if you look at that group, they're people that got on with their life. They wrote books. They became successful. They got their life back. And so, God Almighty, let's not let Watchtower take the second half. You know?
Amen to that. And Jay, we need you, brother.
Yes.
You got to get those legs working again, bro. I'm glad you lost 100 pounds. So I want to see you with your legs working again, and I want to see you out of there. And I'm going to be praying it will be so. But do not give up. We need you. We need your voice. We need your heart. We need your love. We need your compassion. And I desperately miss your voice. I miss it because it's so real and genuine. And I need to know that love is in the world. And you're very rare. So please, please, please take good care of yourself. And please, Jay, come back. I miss you terribly.
And Dylan, we're looking forward to you tonight. We could see you in the suite. You look beautiful. You look inspiring. And we heard all kinds of great things about you. We are excited to hear from you. So we're looking forward to your show. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the people on the phone lines.
Angela, thank you, Jay, Dylan, and
Hugs and kisses, everybody.
Thank you, YouTube.
Get a hold of me, Jay.